Hey there, I am ready to unbox my latest winnings from Heritage Auctions. There's a raw book, maybe a slab or two, and I think I got pretty good deals on these, so let's open this up and find out. Here we go. All right, so the floodgates are kind of open again, where I'm acquiring comics again. I was probably on like I don't know if I lasted a couple of months with the no more buying stuff, and as soon as that, I've just realized there were just too many opportunities right now, as the market is slowly on a decline. Yeah, I said it. The market is slipping. That I was finding a lot of buying opportunities, but then also developing this sort of modern strategy of looking at a lot of data and a lot of different, using different tools and different information to analyze books that are out there for sale. One of my favorite places to shop is Heritage Auctions. It's super expensive, super pricey, but every now and again you can relatively snipe some books off of there, and it's just a fast-paced auction. You get bidder fatigue, dealing with people that either are prepared or aren't. And if you do your homework and you study and you look at the values and look at my models, how I leverage some of the spreadsheet analysis that I'm doing and so forth, you have to put in the time. But if you do, it just seems like there are a few auctions that just kind of slip through the cracks, and I like to pounce and grab those. So I feel like I did that with my latest Heritage auction winnings. I tried to go small and not, buy a stack of 50 books or something like that, just to kind of get sort of the first trial of this process underway, where I'm taking my Heritage auctions, the way that I prep for those, and I have past videos to kind of show you how I prep, and then looking at using the prep plus some of the analysis that I've been doing, where I'm buying from more static-based online stores and apply those to auctions. Eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to translate all of this to eBay, which is where I think most of us do our shopping. And once I kind of incorporate eBay, I feel like then I've got the perfect model. But until then, I'm kind of limping along, trying different things. So this is my unboxing of my latest Heritage auction winnings. And then let me show you some of the data that I've been tracking in terms of why I made the comment about the market slipping. And I'll kind of show you what I track and what I'm doing with Heritage in order to predict what prices books are going to sell for. So let's unbox this order and see what's inside, and then I'll go over the data with you. All right, so let's rip through the unboxing here and get to the books inside. All right, they want me to examine all the materials here, make sure everything was packed in carefully. Tons of packing peanuts. So got one book out. I'm betting this is just going to be a ton of packing peanuts and bubble wrap here. So let me get this out. Look at this bubble wrap. That's crazy. Just the number of rolls. Oof. Makes me feel so good. All right. Let's see here. And that's it. So most of what was in there was lots and lots of bubble wrap, which is necessary. I mean, this is super soft and fun. Zoom in a little bit. I mean, this is so cool. All right. The first thing, I'm gonna put that aside. First thing we'll do is we'll open up this one. Like I said, I've got it's a smaller order. It's actually, let's see, it's 3 books, and spoilers, but this is the raw book, and the other 2 are CGC slabs. So I think I can just slide the... I don't want to slide it and have it catch on the bubble. I don't want the book to catch on the bubble wrap and have the edges all jacked. Alright, really great stuff. Lots of just fantastic bubble wrap. Again, you pay the premium for ordering from Heritage, and people say, oh, it's too expensive, but then you get those makeshift cardboard things that people off eBay send you. Stuff gets damaged. You don't have that problem with Heritage, or at least I don't. I mean, you could just tell the way they take it very, very seriously, all the packaging. All right, so let me move that aside, and we'll take a look at the first book. And this book has come down in terms of attention and a little bit in value, just because his appearance in the Black Widow movie kind of came and went. But he survived the picture. He's a popular actor who's portraying the character of the Red Guardian. And I wanted to go ahead and get his first appearance here in Avengers 43. So here it is. I'm going to go ahead and take it out of all of the additional packing. And let's see, it looks like it's just sort of sitting... Yeah, it's sitting in its own bag and board here. And according to Heritage, this is a 6.0 fine of Avengers 43. So what we'll do is go ahead and... I only have one book to grade, so I want to take a look at this. And we already kind of know what Heritage assigned it. And typically what I will do is just leave their grade as is, as a 6.0. But I wanted to look at it and show you what a 6.0 looks like from Heritage. Now, I think this specific book, just at first glance, is overgraded. Now, I had every opportunity to view the scans online, but there's a lot of damage. There's this staple right on top. So if I were just blindly trying to grade this, and the back certainly has some tanning, maybe very, very light foxing all the way through it, but you can see that is not white at all. It might pass for white pages or off-white to white, but still, I felt like it was an affordable copy to grab. But looking at it, I mean, just with a lot of the color breaks, could this book be pressed? I don't even think so. I don't even think it would benefit, honestly. There's a spine curl, yes, that could be flattened out, but I really don't think that's going to make a difference. You always want to start with your more significant defects, and there's like a little bit of a page tear, you know, lots of stuff happening. So is it a 6.0 fine? No, I'm looking at more the 4.5 to 5.5 range if I'm grading this myself. So I don't want to say overpaid, but the target price I was looking at was for a 6.0. So I should have maybe moved it down into the 5 to 5.5 range or very good. I don't know. So this one's on me. I probably should have looked at the scan a little bit more closely or something. Right in the heart and center, it looks very, very good. There's no creases or anything kind of going across the front. You can see there as I move the light back and forth. So it's a strong copy from that regard, but there's just too much damage on the sides to really kind of... I don't really feel like this is a 6. Again, if I'm kind of grading this at home and I'm looking at some of my other books that I have in sort of mid-grade, which is what this is, I think I probably look at a 5. And I certainly wouldn't even touch this with a press because both staples are on top of the book. But I feel like I got a fairly good deal on it, and we'll go over the numbers afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and assign this one a 5 instead of a 6.0. I don't believe that's fine. Now, kind of when I move it away from the camera, you look at it and go, yeah, I think, you know, there may be some pressing options here. You could kind of flatten out this area. I'm like, I'm not going to press this. In fact, I don't even give it the indicator. I will put it in a fullback because it is a Silver Age book. It's an Avengers key, and I think that a 5.0 is a fair grade. I typically start to see the wear and tear at the top right in there, and when I see that, that's usually when I start to say 5.55, and then especially these, just there's just too many color breaks. Really, I just can't give it a 6.0, honestly. And again, when that happens, it's really on you at this point. Some of the stores where you're buying sight unseen, you kind of take what you can get. But in this case, you have these high res scans from Heritage, and a lot of times I will kind of give it a glance or a once over. And honestly, it depends on how much I'm spending. So when I show you the price, hopefully you'll see that it wasn't really an extraordinarily high amount. And so I kind of took what I could get and assumed that the professional graders at Heritage gave it a fair grade of 6.0. I just don't feel like it's a 6. So would I send this book in to CGC? We'll find out here in a second if it's worth sending in or not. So as a Silver Age book, it's a little bit tough to get down all the way down to the bag and board. So I'm gonna just keep kind of hammering at the table here, or here to make less noise. Now it's in, and again, you could say it presents well, right? whatever the old saying is there. Let me put this aside for a second, get the other two books out and open. And like I said too, I wanted to start small, meaning not jump in kind of head first with a really expensive big purchase. And one of the things that I like to do on Heritage is I like to target slabs that are under fair market value, and specifically slabs that are silver, bronze age, non-keys, white pages. I will definitely look for off-white to white as well, but I really try to target white or off-white to white only. And if I can get white pages on older books that are already slabbed, I will go ahead and do that as I'm unraveling these books here. Just show them as is. So this is an example of one of those books. This is Tales of Suspense 93, and it's a 7.5 white pages. So let me take it out of the bag. And one of the reasons I get white pages is certainly for the presentation, but also because I want the book to be preserved for longer. So if you're buying a book, even if it's in the CGC slab, and it's like cream pages, I mean, those are like, you're getting to the point where they're starting to become quite brittle. So if it's graded white pages, then I feel like it's in good shape to kind of last. Doesn't have the overall like vibrant looking colors, but again, you're looking at a book from 1967 in a 7.5, and comparing it to that Avengers 43, where I'm looking at the condition over there. I mean, is it that far off from this one? I think so. I mean, this one really, the edge you could see is very, very clean and crispy. So I love these Tales of Suspense books. I like to pick these up, especially the ones after 50 to 60. 50 to 60 is typically the short printed range. We have the Titanium Man appearance and a letter from Walt Simonson. I thought that was cool, and that made it right there on the label itself. But yeah, I wanted to grab this, and I collect Tales of Suspense, but basically have all of the non-keys of Tales of Suspense. So this is a great book. I love to like put it up behind here. It looks very nostalgic, and yeah, Stan Lee story, Gene Colan cover with Iron Man and the Titanium Man right there on the front. And also don't miss, I forgot, don't miss the villainy of Half Face. And the final book, another Tales of Suspense. This is Tales of Suspense 89, and this is an 8.0 white pages. And this book has a little bit of meaning for me because the Melter shows up later in Iron Man, in Iron Man's solo series. And there's I think it's a Bronze Age book, bronze or early copper. I'm pretty sure it's late bronze. And the Melter also shows up there as well. And that was one of the earlier Iron Man back issues that I picked up when I was collecting when I was younger. And it was like, who's this Melter character? I'm like, well, Melter seems like he would be a pretty good foe for Iron Man, who's made of iron, and he could just melt Tony Stark's armor off. So I was just thought like, well, yeah, genius, just great power just to melt his iron. And didn't know at the time, didn't understand first appearances. Back then I was too young. And here we are in Tales of Suspense 89 from 1967 with the Melter right there on the cover with Iron Man. So this one's an 8.0. I mean, if I'm looking at the damage on this book in the spine here, I'm probably not giving that an 8.0. I think it got an 8.0 because the top of the book is like brand new, sharp. Same thing with that corner. I mean, that's just perfect. Look at the back too. The back is like, there's just nothing on it. There's no color rub, no foxing, some slight discoloration, almost like a vignetting of the tan, but and pretty good wrap too. Again, that's kind of my target, is I'm looking for these sorts of books with really, really strong wrapping, appropriately solid up and down wrapping over here. And I just thought the presentation of these, along with them being white pages, and the fact that they were non-keys, again, we're talking about 89 and 93. These are not particularly scarce. And they showed up at auction, and I'm thinking easily these are, $100 plus slabs, just because of the age and the fact that they're white pages. The white page designation always seems to fetch a premium. Let me set up and prepare the order in my spreadsheet, in my collection ledger, and then you can kind of see the pricing models and why I targeted these 3 books and why I decided to bid on them. And so we can kind of look and see if what I paid for was fair. Was it under fair market value, or did I overpay? So let's check it out. Okay, so here is the order from Heritage. Here's the amount I paid for the books, along with shipping and tax. And what we're going to do is plug these books in to my my ledger here to figure out whether or not I actually did well with this order. So right off the bat, you can see, and why do I disclose how much I paid for it? Because you can look this up. You can go to Heritage and look up the auction lot and see the number anyway. So I'm just saving you the hassle of looking things up. So right here, hopefully the first thing you notice is that for Avengers 43, with the buyer's premium, this is the cost for that book. The cover price fair market value today is $190 for this book. So well over the final auction price plus the buyer's premium on top that I paid. And then with the shipping and tax being split across the 3 books, I have a total cost of about $129. So I paid $129 for a $190 book, and this is just raw. And I would say again, if you're buying mid-grade silver, then you're probably in the ballpark of this cover price fair market value. So that's exactly what I got. It got right down the middle with either a 5, a 5.5, or a 6, depending on your point of view and your grading expertise. But I decided to give it a 5.0. So 5.0 CGC is actually less than what cover price is reporting for a raw book. So my CGC profit over here is only $61.44. Now, I was buying this thinking it was a 6.0, which is just above cover price at $202. So that's where I'm a little bit disappointed. So it's not so much that my strategy or approach was flawed, it was that I didn't spend enough time inspecting the book through the scans to dispute the grade that Heritage had assigned the book. Now, I could just split the difference and say it's a 5.5, but it's still less than the raw book. So this is something that I have to figure out because I'm trying to determine which books I want to clean and press. I want to see which books I'm going to send to CGC, what books I want to keep in the PC, what books I want to sell, and I have all of these different views and insights into my collection. And if I'm just looking at this book by itself, it's probably saying, hey, it's got a decent amount of value. If you were to slab it, why don't you go ahead and slab it? But if I slab this book in a 5, according to cover price, I'm losing money if I slab it, right? Plus the cost of slabbing and so forth. So right here, this is something I'm going to have to look into. If the CGC value is less than fair market value raw, don't slab it. I don't have that rule built into my system yet. So something to consider and take into account. Now, for Tales of Suspense 89, this one was an 8.0, and it is CGC graded as an 8, and I mark it as such, so that stays out of my filter, because when I'm looking at my collection and my collection is saying, hey, here's some books that you might want to consider sending in, why don't you go ahead and do that, then this book might show up, it's already slabbed. So I designate this as CGC with the letter Y for yes, and the fact that it was graded in 8.0, and my grade is the grade that I saw the book in, which is 8.0, obviously slabbed, and so on. So with this one, the raw profit is negative because I'm not buying it raw, obviously. And then the CGC profit, it also includes the cost to slab it. And so I'm going to have to make an adjustment there in my formula to remove that. And so let me just go ahead and finish this off here with the 7.5 of Tales of Suspense 93. And we can see there as well, the CGC value is $63. So I ended up paying fair market value essentially for these two books. I paid $79 for 89, and it has a CGC 8.0 value of 72. And then right on the money, $63 even for the 7.5. I didn't mind paying fair market value for these for two reasons. One, I felt like getting Silver Age Tales of Suspense for under $75 each was a good investment. And the fact that they're white pages, I do not mind paying a few dollars extra to make sure that those are in white pages. I think it's a cleaner look. I think it, as I mentioned, the paper quality investing in white pages is better for the long term. My total cost for the order here, raw profit. I feel like the Avengers 43 was a pretty good buy, even at a 5, because of the raw fair market value being so high on that book. And so that's where the raw profit is coming in. I need to adjust these when I'm buying slabs. I need to figure out if the indicator is already set for CGC. Then I need to make an adjustment here. But there really was no raw book profit to take into account. And then again, the CGC profit, if we go ahead and let's just remove this addition of slabbing, then we're basically looking at the total cost, right, minus the value. So in this case, again, $77.56 for a $63 slab and $93.56 for the $72 slab. So in looking back at this, it's certainly not a profitable order. It's somewhat of a break even or a kind of a loss. So and again, I want to share everything I'm doing. I don't want to just share the home runs. I don't want to share these potential wins like it's really easy. You just blindly buy comics online and profit. Sometimes you're just acquiring for your collection. And in this case, acquiring also knowledge of data, seeing what these books go for. So now I'm learning really what these, Tales of Suspense in the 80s and 90s, if they're non-keys, in that 7 to 8 or 8.5 range, maybe those are only $50 slabs, maybe $60 at most, and 75 to 95. What I paid was probably a little bit too high, but they came to me from Heritage, shipped really well, packaged. Appreciate that. So there you go. So a little bit of a CGC unboxing there for you, and a little bit of recap of the last auction. The last thing I do want to show you is some of the things that I have been tracking with Heritage. And let me pull up my Heritage tracker here. And this is the kind of information that I track from Heritage. So I do all of this prep work. You can see here, here's Tales of Suspense 93. Here was my target. Here's what I want it for, and so on. The $50.34, that's before buyer's premium. So I track all of this information. And what I will do is I will target a number of books in the Heritage auction, and then I will summarize that in this auction data spreadsheet, worksheet in my workbook. So this is data going back from June of 2021 to December 19th. And what I do is I figure out the total GPA value of the books that I'm tracking. Remember, this is not across all of the auctions. This is just across the auctions that I'm tracking. So these are books that I would consider either bidding on, or they're prices of keys that are above my price range, but I want to learn and understand the price of those books, so that I can better understand the market. And then if I do see one of the books out in the wild, I'm more informed. So between those two things, and I typically target Marvel, by the way. I don't have enough time to track every book in the auction, and honestly only have time to really track Marvel. So this is really just a subset of, I would say, books that are from Marvel Comics on Heritage that are affordable to some degree. I know affordability is relative, but things that are just not astronomical. So I'm not really including things like, Amazing Fantasy 15 in a 9.4. I'm not really doing that. So these are books more that are kind of mainstream, raw books, non-keys, and certainly some keys as well. It really depends, but it's a random assortment of books that kind of gives you a snapshot of the market. And so what I do is I take the total GPA, the total final bid, and then the total actual percentage GPA. And what I mean by that is the percentage of the final against GPA, and then the total final here with the buyer's premium. I don't really know why I track the bids, because the bid is kind of irrelevant. It's really all about the buyer's premium. That's the final amount. I just do it because the data is there. They always show the buyer's premium next to the bid price. The buyer's premium is your final cost. So really, column F and G are really, or more so G is the more significant. And so I want to show you this chart here, and this is what I've created. And this is, the red line is the trend. So for the last 6 months, just looking at Heritage auctions, which, you could argue whether or not it's really a good measuring tool for the comic book market. I know there are other sources like Comic Link. Everyone jumps into eBay last sold and just looks at the last few books and says, see, the market's still going up because this book sold for a lot of money. It's great if you want to isolate a book and hype it, but really you need data over time. You need to put in the time, and you need to perform analysis like this if you really want to comment on the market. These are books that I don't have, right? I mean, 99% of the books I'm tracking on Heritage, I don't win. I don't have in my possession. I'm only acquiring 1, 2, or 3 at a time. So I'm really just kind of unbiased here, randomly picking books that I find interesting. And you can see that there's definitely ups and downs. But the trend really is the trend. And the trend is that what this means is that the the value sold against what GPA is reporting is market value is less over time. And I'll explain it again using some different terms, but if there's a $100 book, 6 months ago it was selling for $85, and now it's selling for about 75 or maybe 80 at most. So I think that the interest might be slowing down a little bit. The number of bidders, like people who are actively participating, and GPA is relative. So GPA moves around. So as GPA drops, heritage interest is dropping. GPA is kind of the measuring stick for whether or not the bid is above or below fair market value. And so this trend going down is, you can interpret that as momentum is slowing. It's not rising. So if the red line was going up, what that would mean is that people are seeing a fair market value assigned to a book, and they're paying it or they're paying above because they feel like it's going to keep rising. And what's happening is people are paying less and less percentage-wise against the fair market value as reported by GPA. So this was just something interesting I wanted to share with you kind of as we wrap up. Those are the kind of numbers that I'm evaluating and looking at things. And if I feel like people are slowing down and they're not actively participating, then my prep for auctions also automatically adjusts so that I can tell that, the projected bid of that $100 slab is not going to be 80 or 85. It might be 75 or even 70 because of the more recent downward trend in activity, using heritage auctions as an example. So there you go. Let me know what you think about the data. I would say the order was not that exciting, so you could certainly comment on those books. I still like to grab those Silver Age books, and I feel like getting those back in white pages, you can't really go wrong. And I think that those are low risk type of books too. So really more it's cost of storage and some other things I have to worry about. But in terms of long-term value, I feel pretty confident that those are safe, and I can certainly just get my money back with those down the road if they don't spike in value for any reason. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Happy collecting, and see you next time.